In this video, we're going to analyze Luffy's quote from One Piece. First, let's watch the scene and then we'll go over the grammar.
俺はお前の作った飯しか食わねえ。腹が減っても槍が降ってもここを動かずお前を待ってる。必ず戻ってこいサンジ。お前がいねえと俺は海賊王になれねえ。
Today's quote is お前がいねえと俺は海賊王になれねえ。お前がいねえと俺は海賊王になれねえ。Let's break it down. お前 means you in a casual and rough manner. が marks the subject in a subordinate clause. いねえ means not to exist or not to be. It's a contracted form of いない which is the negative form of いる。と means if or when. So, お前がいねえと means if you're not present or if you're not around. In the anime, it translates to without you. 俺 means I in a casual and masculine manner. What marks the topic of the main clause? 海賊王 means pirate king. Each kanji represents sea, thief, and king. Ni is used with the verb naru to mean to become something. In English, the verb become takes a direct object without the preposition, but in Japanese, the particle ni is required to mark the target or goal of the change. なれねえ means can't become. It's a contracted form of なれない which is the negative form of なれる. So, お前がいねえと俺は海賊王になれねえ means without you, I can't become the pirate king. The standard form is お前がいないと俺は海賊王になれない. But in rough speech, ない is often contracted to ねえ. Also, in the manga, the small e is written in katakana instead of hiragana. This stylistic choice adds visual impact and emphasizes an intense tone. Here's today's review. が marks the subject in a subordinate clause. As an independent sentence, you can say お前はいない with は marking the topic, but when you turn it into a subordinate clause, は usually changes to が. Now complete the sentences by filling in the subordinate clauses. Is Mr. Tanaka going? If Mr. Tanaka goes, I will go too. 田中さんは行きますか？なら、私も行きます。田中さんが行くなら、私も行きます。田中さんは行きますか？田中さんが行くなら私も行きます。I woke up at 7. When I woke up, my father wasn't there. 私は7時に起きました。時、父はいませんでした。私が起きた時、父はいませんでした。私は7時に起きました。私が起きた時、父はいませんでした。The teacher always comes to the classroom at 9. When the teacher comes, the students take their seats. 先生はいつも9時に教室に来ます。と、生徒たちは席に着きます。先生が来ると生徒たちは席に着きます。先生はいつも9時に教室に来ます。先生が来ると生徒たちは席に着きます。 When to is attached to a clause, it means if or when, depending on the context. It expresses a general condition that leads to a result which always happens under the same circumstances. For example, 春になると桜が咲きます meaning when spring comes, the cherry blossoms bloom. このボタンを押すとジュースが出ます meaning if you press this button, juice comes out. When to is used with a negative form, it often introduces a negative consequence to express necessity. お前がいないと俺は海賊王になれない means if you're not around, I can't become the pirate king, which also implies I need you to be around in order for me to become the pirate king. By using the negative form, it conveys a more intense sense of necessity than simply saying, if you're around, I can become the pirate king. Now try making some sentences using this structure. Without money, I can't buy anything. お金がないと何も買えない。お金がないと何も買えない。If I don't study, I can't pass the exam. 勉強しないと試験に合格できない。勉強しないと試験に合格できない。If I don't hurry, I won't make it to the train. 急がないと電車に間に合わない。急がないと電車に間に合わない。For more examples, please visit our website. You'll find the link in the description below. That's all for today. Thanks for watching.